Welcome to part 5 of the tea with painted tree. This is going to be a doozy, you guys. We're going to get into all the receipts and everything that has happened since they closed. Okay, so we all remember this email, right? If not, go back and watch part 1 because there's a lot there. Go over the problems with this email besides what I've already covered. First of all, the last date of retrieval was wrong. It was actually on a Friday. It's further led to the speculation of AI being used in emails, help inquiries, and bookkeeping. It says at the very bottom of this email that all merchandise and personal property in your booth belongs to you. It's funny they say this, and let me get into that later. Remember this. For the email, it says that we have until the 24th to retrieve our inventory. However, what they didn't tell you was that the doors remaining unlocked was left up to the landlords, and sadly, many vendors were left stranded with their inventory locked inside. This email also asks that we call and notify the store. However, the phones were already disconnected on the morning of April 14th. And this left vendors with little to no human interaction. There have been numerous accounts of vendors who had just signed their contract a few days before the news broke. Essentially, they paid for security deposits and rent that they were never able to use. And sadly, most of those funds have not been returned to their original owners. Painted Tree employees were just as shocked as the vendors, and they did everything they could to help us, and we are so thankful for you. After the closure, Painted Tree was still charging people for rent and late rent, even though no one was paid their hard-earned sales for April. In many cases, vendors have not been paid out for months. But wait, there's more. Here's a second email that they sent us. Guess what? The link only worked for about half the vendors, if that. On top of that, this goes with a theme of little to no human interaction and just regurgitating information we already know. Once again, unhelpful and not supportive of vendors or employees. Thanks, Painted Tree. But you know what would have been really helpful though? If they would have left access to vendor portals up. Of course, access to the financial records and anything related to gathering documentation was immediately deleted. Convenient. The vendors didn't even have access to their contract that they signed. Okay, so if that wasn't enough, let's take a look at the general math. Keep in mind, this is only average numbers. I'll walk you through the damages of our booth alone. Spent $1,873.95 in repairs to our booth before moving in because it was not up to contract standards, so the repairs fell on me. Of inventory I had stolen or damaged was staggering, totaling to $1,169.27. And on top of that, unpaid sales and unused rent that I had already paid for was $1,563, totaling our damages to $4,606.22. Thought all that was bad? Let's take a look at the actual documentation that they filed. Record states that the attorney that they hired for representation was hired on March 12, 2026. Vendors will not be considered as creditors. That Painted Tree only plans to pay out 1 to 49 creditors per location. Filing of their Chapter 7, the court documents state that after any administrative expenses are paid, no funds will be advisable to unsecured creditors, i.e. vendors. And on top of that, they've already cleared out all the bank accounts. For what I showed you in the email in the beginning, inventory was the property of individual vendors. Painted Tree controlled point-of-sale systems, collected funds, and created a duty to properly remit those proceeds. Keep in mind, they took 10% of each transaction. Or all the sales that vendors made were property of individual vendors, not Painted Tree. So why are vendors not being paid out? Painted Tree contract, it states that they collect and pay consumer taxes for all sales through Painted Tree. However, vendors have received no reassurance that this will be the case for 2026. In my opinion, this just adds to the long list of reasons as to why they need to be investigated. An interesting note is that they actually made more money this year than last year. Displays a massive jump in revenue displayed in the court documents. Poses the question, what did they do with all that money? Because it certainly wasn't to pay out the vendors, the very reason they had a business to begin with and inventory to sell. What vendors are doing for those who want to fight this. Collectively, we have filed complaints with the Attorney General Office of Arkansas, where Painted Tree headquarters is. Also, I encourage you to file with the state in which you did business in. I hope that the FBI opens up an investigation for fraud due to how this has been handled. And of course, shocker, it wouldn't be the first time they've been investigated. It's where we learn more about this situation every day. And the receipts themselves are shocking. Praying for justice every day for all those who've been affected by this horrible situation. And if you've followed so far on this journey, thank you for your support. It means the world.